because Professor Wajackoyah, there he is arriving, because we hadn't expected him until a few moments ago. And Rashid Abdallah is with them. Rashid, kazi kwako.
If we are not four, I'm not attending.
Attending
unless we are four. That's why I've come to confirm, because this thing is too far, sorry. Because they never responded to my letter. And if the media wants to corrupt the intelligence of this society, if the media wants to run corruption in this country, if the media itself can do what they have done, to hell with them. Where's Mr. Omari?
Na kwa ufupi ni kwamba utafanya mjadala.
I am not going to unless we are four.
Na bila shaka nafikiri kumeweza kusikia mtazamaji kwa hivi sasa ameweza sema ameshafika Profesa George Wajackoyah, yuko tayari kwa mjadala, lakini labda pendekezo lake ni moja tu, kama watakuwa wanne katika kikao hicho ndio wataweza kufanya mjadala. Kwa nafikiri kwamba hivi sasa na fursa ya kuzungumza na wamiliki wa vyombo vya habari kama alivyosema, awasikize, watoe mwelekeo kuhusiana na maombi aliyoyatoa, alafu baadaye atatupa mwelekeo kama atashiriki, kama atoshiriki. Kwako Joageo.
All right, shukran. Rashid Abdallah speaking to George Wajackoyah is arrived, and I think we will just continue with what you were saying. Houghton, this is interesting. He's arrived, but he's saying there are still conditions.
I think politicians can't give conditions to the media who have no control over the participation of other candidates. I think the responsibility of the media is to provide an equal, fair, open debate for all political candidates to come forward. And I think it's the responsibility of candidates and the humility of candidates to say that they are willing to come before the nation and seek a job that is the highest job in the land. And I think that is where I would start with that.
Okay. Let me go to the other flank. Dennis, what do you make of all this?
No, I think this is important. Debates are important. Debates are important, as I think Irungu has made very good about, has talked a lot about history. I think one of the things that we have a challenge in Kenya with is actually having discussions, exchanging views. So for me, it makes total sense that we have debates, that we have people exchanging views, agreeing to disagree, and basically telling the Kenyans what they're going to do. So I think this is totally important for us.
All right, Sheila?
I agree with my co-panelists. This forum is important. I know that politicians are not used to moderated forums. Yeah. We're used to seeing them in public rallies where they're shouting at us and chiming on. But this is a forum where we expect, and what we have seen in the last 2 weeks is a moderated, very, in a sense, controlled discussion, which enables us to be able to get the gist of what their campaigns are about, what their manifestos and plans are about, and what they really are about, looking at even some of the questions that have been asked around their values and issues around integrity. So it's important because we don't get to get a sense of all this when they're out there in public rallies. So this is an important forum. I know that there's been a lot of investment looking at the sheer infrastructure set up for this debate. So I think it's important that politicians honor this. I know that even at the local level, there are various attempts to bring together members of county assembly, members of parliament, and the reaction on the ground is when one misses a debate, that you're really not honoring us. And I think this is the perception that some Kenyans have, although there's also a school of thought that says, by the time people are watching a debate, they've already made up their mind. So it's either to reaffirm their love and admiration for you, or to confirm why they are not going to vote for you in the first place. But all in all, it's an important forum to enable Kenyans to see, get to hear from you in more depth what you're planning to do for Kenya.
Thank you. Yet, Professor Whitty, there are people who say, at least if you go by the polls and all the different conversations we've had about this election, that there seems to be an uncharacteristically high number of undecided voters, even as late as a week or two ago. How does that square with the need thereof of a debate such as this one?
I think, thanks, Joe. I think voters are tuned in, and I'm really sympathetic because this, to me, has been a very arid political season. There is a devastating, blistering drought of great ideas that are required in this transformative moment to move the country forward. And that's the reason why voters have checked out. That's why a lot of people don't feel that the politicians, the four running for president, have articulated anything that is remotely adjacent to the critical issues that are needed to move the country forward. Their manifestos.
How do you mean? I mean, they all have manifestos.
Yeah, the manifestos are a mile wide, but they're not even an inch deep in terms of how they frame the issues. Everybody's got this long list that any Kenyan can spew out. Agriculture, employment, energy, infrastructure, education, but there is nothing substantive that is transformative, which these politicians are saying. Everybody's got a bunch of proposals that are completely unfunded. We have a devastating deficit right now of 862 billion.
So what's missing?
What's missing is a coherent plan that basically addresses the fundamental issues in a transformative way. We're hungry today. When I worked in agriculture many years ago in Western Kenya, 9 out of 12 months, farmers who tilled the land every single day were hungry. If you look at the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics census on household food security, it's still the same picture. People in rural areas are more food insecure than urban people who are working. Agriculture is not working. Some of the input supply, input subsidy programs are not working, like fertilizer application rates, for instance, are extremely low. Extension services are broken. So you give farmers fertilizer, they're applying it on soils that are not ready to take fertilizer. So these are some of the fundamental things. So to put more money at this bad problem is the problem. And you see the manifesto that has been advanced by Raila Odinga and William Ruto. It's exactly the same, more of the same. It's not going to change the trajectory that the country has taken so far. And that's why voters have checked out. Basically saying, what's the difference?
Well, at least Wajackoyah has some radical 10 points, and we'll talk about them in a while. But Wanjiru, I wonder what your initial thoughts are about these debates.
It is important, and listening to the concerns that are being brought forward by Wajackoyah, by Honorable Raila Odinga, my question from a public participation point of view is, as the media platform is created, is there usually a discussion with the political actors? Because if there isn't, there could be next time. I think there are a lot of Kenyans there that would have loved to see a debate with all the presidential candidates. So public participation and stakeholder engagement, I think, applies across the board. But given that we're here, I agree totally with what Sheila is saying, that we expect our leaders to be humble enough to avail themselves to field, to sell their proposals to the public. But I think the missing link, and my question as we engage in this very, this event is it too little, too late? Because we have a situation where we have an administration that hasn't undertaken or supported public participation, hasn't supported civic education, hasn't supported voter education. And so even as the media strives to put together this platform, is it too little, too late? And how do we ensure accountability? Because it's one thing to have manifestos, and I don't agree quite with the professor. I think the manifestos have some very good proposals that, if implemented, can transform some of the big issues that bedevil us.
Well, he's saying they are more of the same.
I don't agree with that in terms of substance, but what I do, the question is, where is the accountability? After the promise, how do we ensure implementation? Because we are seeing challenges on leadership and integrity even going into the campaign. We are seeing violations of the basic tenets of the law in the way the political parties have constituted themselves. So the challenge to me is, yes, it's good to have these platforms. We need to have them consistently across the board, not just before the major election, but annually we should have an accountability forum, asking the questions, asking the president.